So our final session is from sustainability strategy to execution, and I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Heath, Dancey, Global Procurement Category Head, POSM and Sales at Sanofi CHC. A warm welcome for Heath, please. My word, that's a job title. Another one I did in one breath. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much everyone here for staying for the final session. I guess this fireside is something of a story. I'd like to go from strategy to execution, because it's all well and good having a lovely document with some lovely ideas in it until it actually comes into fruition. It's not really worth a great deal. So talk me through the story for Sanofi. Let's go from the start and how things moved on.
Yeah, so thanks for having me. I think this is a topic which I'm really sort of passionate about because, you know, we've all lived the corporate life with a lot of great strategies and PowerPoints, and many times those things don't happen. And I think at Sanofi CHC we've got a good story now. So Sanofi CHC, just so you know, is a standalone GBU from Sanofi. We're actually about to separate ourselves. So it's all of the products for the consumer healthcare that you can buy over the counter without a doctor's prescription. So when we split off, in my category, my main category is point of sales material, which is, I would say, at least in our world, everything, you know, when you walk into pharmacies and retailers and all the nice things you see all over the place, this is what I guess myself and my team were buying. And part of that is obviously sustainability, because it's cardboard, it's you know, plastic, hopefully not, but it's many things. So when we joined, they as we were forming the team, they said, you know, don't worry, we've got this strategy. You know, we're working with one supplier, our partner globally, and you know, we've formed a catalog, a sustainable catalog, so it's going to be easy. So you know, enjoy the job. It's going to be easy. It's all done. And then when I started working, I realized no one really was using our global partner, HH Global. The sustainable catalogs that had been developed were not fit for purpose. No one was using them. No one had really reduced printing. So all the items that I told were working were not. And so that's when we had to pick it up with my team and go. So
yeah, this is sounding like the opposite of an easy job. So where do you start in a situation like that, when you can see a whole load of things that need doing, some things that need fixing, some things that might need more attention than others? What's day one? Yeah,
I think it's a good question, because I had to think about that. Where do I start? It was all over the place. I think the key thing is a good global partner. You have to, there's no way you can work, in my world, there's no way you can work with, you know, hundreds of suppliers to form a sustainability strategy. So I think leveraging HH Global, which I think is a good partner, and getting the countries, the tens and tens of countries to start working with them, that was my first battle. So that's where we started, and you know, that's where some of the conflicts came, and but we had some very good support, I would say, from an executive level. But that was the first pillar, and then from then on we put in the other pillars as well.
Well, talk me through some of those difficulties, some of those challenges. What were the biggest ones, and how did you get round them? Because I'm sure there's a lot of politics in this kind of situation. Yeah. If there's a policy in place and people aren't quite following it, it's because someone's got a reason. And I'm sure if I carried on like that, there'd be enough knowing nods in this room to last us the rest of the show. How did you get around those kind of challenges, and what were they?
Yeah, I'd say the main things were, you know, we want to work with our local little suppliers. The sustainability catalogs that you've built are not appropriate. They're not ours. We need to print because pharmacists need all these things. So all the arguments. So I think that obviously I talked about the supplier one, but then I'd say, you know, rebuilding things with them was very important. So then I got to the point of governance, and that's where we really leveraged, I'd say, regional business partners, commercial regional business partners. We needed somebody on our side that could speak to the countries in their language, the shopper marketing teams. And then rebuild the catalogs that we wanted them to use, which everything in the catalog is, minimum 80% recycled material, 100% recycled. So we know that when we're doing that POSM, at least it's sustainable. So getting that governance, that regional player, and then with that person, rebuilding everything, you started to win them over a little bit, and that was the first gain. And then, like I said, a little bit of executive management help from time to time does get things going. So yeah,
that was very diplomatically phrased. I'm going to ask what I always call the dinner party question, which is where you're sitting in a room with people who don't know what you do, and you're trying to explain why it's incredibly interesting, and you have to provide an example of why you are proud of what you do. So clearly there's been lots of different areas of success. You're picking one area of success that you're particularly proud of that you would bring up in that situation. What would it be?
If I was one, I mean, the ambition that we have, we're basically going after full use of our sustainable catalogs, an 80% reduction in printing, and a 30% reduction in the material that we use in displays over 3 years. All of those KPIs are above track on what we're going. So if I had to choose one, I'd say I think we're at a plus 70% reduction in printed material versus 2021. So that's, I'd say, that's a revolution in the way that we've been working. And if I could pick a second one, HH Global, who will help us track it, we're now more than minus 25% CO2 footprint reduction on our POSM globally. And I think that's what we can all be proud of at Sanofi CHC.
That's a great example. Another question I know that regularly comes up at events like these, and it's you get a chief sustainability officer, whoever, put their hand up, and they say, well, when we launched this new program, everyone was for it. The CEO was putting their name to it. Everyone was deeply excited because it was new, it was exciting, and it was something they wanted to talk about. After that initial peak of excitement, the interest starts to wane. It loses its focus. How have you gone about keeping the importance and the visibility and the vibrance of that kind of progress going? Because it's not easy.
Yeah. It's a really good question because we set a 3-year ambition. We set it in end of 2021 and it's finishing next year. So how to keep the pace over 3 years? I would say there's obviously the governance, and I can't get away from how important that is. You've got to have top level, regional and down to country governance all speaking. And then you've got to use communication, obviously. I've already talked about making it feel that it's theirs. The countries are now proud of the fact that they have more sustainable POSM. And sometimes, even our CEOs walked into pharmacies and said, our point of sales material, it looks duller, but it looks more sustainable. And I like that from a marketing perspective. So the marketers that have picked up on that. And then I would say, if we can get the little awards from here, it just keeps that rhythm going, which is, and make sure we pace ourselves over 3 years. So those are the main points I'd say for that.
And finally, before I go to the room for questions, let's look at the next steps. What are they to make sure that all your ambitions are achieved? And then I guess there'll be even more ambitions for the future.
Yeah, so like I said, we're tracking really well, but the last 10%, so all of our KPIs, we've got, 90% catalog use, 70% print reduction, 30% display material reduction. So those last little percentage points are pretty hard. So that's where you really got to go deeper. And that's why that governance becomes even more, digging down into those countries. What's happening there? Why are you doing it? Do you really need to do it? Have you checked the ROI on that? Are you really generating sales from this? Or do you just do it because you've always done it? So really, really but it's that tough last little bit of, dirt to get out. So it's going to be it'll keep it interesting for the next 12 months. So yeah.
I think that might be an understatement. Okay, well, let's go to the room. I know I've got more questions for you, but I will throw to the room, see if we have any hands, which I currently can't see. We have one at the front there. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Sue Phillips from Ipsos. I'm just wondering what the impact of sales has been on the shift away from paper, and also the shift in the nature of the materials that you're using.
Yeah, that's a really good question, because that's often an argument which we get at the start on why you can't do it. If I take one example, I don't want to pick on if there's any German friends in the crowd here, but Germany was a market where they were printing thousands of these sheets because they said the pharmacist had to have this sheet, and because they had to be able to read the. And we challenged them enough where they actually stopped it. And then we went back 6 months later and said, have any of the pharmacists said anything about, no, not really. Okay, well, yeah. So we've generally find that there's not a big, and then, like I said, we're trying to leverage it by, when customers go into, pharmacies or retail and see big glossy, displays and things, I think it's a bit of a turn-off now. So in fact, the more sustainable you can make it and make it feel, you may attract a customer base. So yeah, I hope that answers.
Thank you. Got time for one more question if there's any others. No? Oh, we have just one there. If we can get this, if we can keep this relatively brief, I'd be very grateful.
Hi, my name is Helia. I was just wondering if it would cost you more to get all those sustainable alternatives, or if it was the same for you, and also if you found it that it had a positive impact on, for example, the cost of capital that you have, or other side of your business that this metric was having a good impact on.
Well, I can say at least from a procurement perspective, we actually made savings as well, which is a bit the hidden agenda sometimes, because no one wants to talk about cost savings, but if you go with a sustainability front, then often the door is now better open, which is good. So definitely from the reduction in material, from the reduction in printing, we've made savings. We have paid a little bit more in recycled paper, for instance, versus non. But overall, we've delivered fairly good cost savings as a nice secondary benefit from this program as well. So, yeah.
Okay, Heath, thank you very much indeed. It's always good to get a story which sometimes, and I'm sure a lot of people in the room will agree, isn't always plain sailing. There's often things that need to be fixed and challenges that need to be overcome. So Heath, Dancey, thank you so much for joining us from Sanofi CHC. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.